Welcome back. You're tuned into Market Fatafat, where we're getting you all the buzzers in trade today on the back of news flow, on the back of technicals. And now on the technicals, we're joined by Akshay Bhavik, who is the Senior Vice President of Derivatives Research, JM Financial Services, joining us. Hi, Akshay. Thank you so much for coming on board. You've picked up big boy Reliance for us. Tell us, what do you see on the charts for this counter?
Well, first of all, good afternoon. And I've picked up Reliance. Reliance has a very strong technical structure, just that for intraday trading, it's cooling off a bit. But if you look at the last few days of price action, technically we had a strong breach of 1320, which is a breakout zone. We saw a strong bout of momentum pickup, and I believe this slight cool off will give you re-entry opportunities once you get it around 1384, 1387 odd levels. So buy on dips, slightly maybe 10-15 rupees down is what you might get Reliance, but overall the technical charts are hinting that Reliance eventually should be heading for levels of 1475 to 1500. So a positive view on Reliance for targets around 1500 is what we look forward to.
Okay, so Akshay, those are the levels to watch out for on Reliance. Thanks for that. Let's move on and talk about Piramal Pharma, a stock that's doing pretty well today. The shares are up more than 4% in the first half of the trading session. It has cooled off significantly from there, but nonetheless a 1% uptick coming in on the stock. The company is set to invest 90 million for expanding its manufacturing capabilities at two of its key facilities in the US, according to an exchange filing by the company last evening. The company said that the expansion is aligned with the growing US customer demand and onshoring of drug supply. The Lexington facility will add 24,000 square feet of sterile injectable manufacturing space. It is expected to be completed by late 2027, and the Riverview facility, which is the other one, will be operational by the end of 2025. This move will establish commercial scale manufacturing for the company with a scale up in injectable drug products through the addition of new filing line, among other upgrades. So positive news flow coming in for Piramal Pharma, stock up 1% as we speak.
Alright, moving on from Piramal Pharma to Jindal Steel. Akshay, you've picked out on the chart for us. Tell us, what do you see on the charts for Jindal Steel?
Of days, primarily because of the news flow which we have seen between US and China, which is supportive for the metals pack. Specifically talking about Jindal Steel and Power, a very strong technical setup. We have seen this stock rebounding time and again from levels of 800, and now it is on the verge of a possible breakout above the levels of 930. I'm presuming that looking at the price setup, there is a very high probability we might see this breakout above the levels of 930 zone, post which the stock may head for levels till 1000. So positive on Jindal Steel and Power, expecting targets of 980 to 1000. If you are buying, a stop loss on the trade should be below 860.
Alright, moving on then to the next counter that is in focus today, and that is UPL. The UPL fell almost as much as 5% today, today due to an underwhelming revenue and EBITDA growth guidance for the ongoing financial year, and a subdued outlook outweighed any relief due to the steep rise in the company's earnings for the March quarter. And the UPL expects its revenue to grow 4 to 8% and EBITDA to grow 10 to 14% in FY26. Although the guided figure for revenue growth is in a similar range as of FY25, the EBITDA for the ongoing financial year is seen growing at a slower rate compared to 50% growth guided for FY25. However, the chemical company fell short of meeting the EBITDA growth estimates for FY25 and instead ended the year with a 47% growth in the metric. Now, UPL consolidated net profit for the March quarter spiked over 22 times on a year-on-year basis to 896 crore rupees. This was achieved primarily on the back of an 11% year-on-year increase in the consolidated revenue for the period. A 5% reduction in the input cost for the said period also aided the company's earnings. And the company has also announced a dividend of Rs 6 per share for its shareholders post the results. And a recent announcement by China had earlier also spooked the investors. China had announced a safeguard duty of import of insecticides from India following a year-long investigation, which is going to come to effect from 7th of May.
Okay, so that's the stock in focus UPL that was tanking in today's trading session. Gaurav, you've picked out Arvind for us. Tell us what's the news flow here and why have you picked out this stock for us?
Well, yes, when we talk about this stock, now there is another news flow which is related to ESG angle. What Arvind is doing is that it is actually strengthening its commitment to the carbon neutrality and net zero goals through acquisition of the strategic stake in hybrid power projects of subsidiary of Torrent Power. Now what they are doing is that they have entered into a share shareholders agreement with Torrent Green Energy and its subsidiary Torrent Urja 28. With this, they will be acquiring stake in Torrent Urja 28, representing at least minimum 26% of its total equity share capital, thereby meeting the regulatory requirements of captive users under applicable electricity law. Now, with this, company will invest around 15.6% of the equity share capital in this company, which is equivalent to the price of around 21 crore rupees. And with this, what is going to happen is that their captive usage of energy is going to come down, and they are also going to use more of a renewable energy. As per company, what it will do is that the EBITDA enhancement is something which is actually key thing to focus on, because by FY27 company says that EBITDA margins can enhance almost by 40 to 50 basis points because of this, and that is the reason when we talk about this stock, we are seeing some kind of uptick in this counter.
Okay, thanks Gaurav for taking us through that. But time now to interact with the management of NIIT Limited, and we have Mr. Vijay Kumar Thadani, the Vice Chairman and Managing Director of the company, joining us on the show. Good afternoon, Mr. Thadani. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. And before we get into your specific numbers, let's discuss the demand outlook. How long do you expect to see demand continuing? Any views on the BFSI segment overall? Just give us a sense of what the demand for your services has been.
I think that's a very good note for you to start your question on. The demand scenario has been moving. So if I say last 1 year ago, at the same time we were discussing that the demand from technology sector, especially because of new hiring, was slowing down, but the balancing force was the new technologies which had come in, which created a lot of need for talent expansion and talent upgradation. And to that extent, that was the opportunity. Over the year, the BFSI sector responded very well, and I think the talent need there was very, very strong and actually continues to remain strong, except there has been a dampening in the last part of the year given certain RBI actions as well as the overall economic uncertainty in the environment, which in Q4 we have been seeing. I think as we go forward, I do see the technology sector is returning, and there the hiring demand as well as skilling, upskilling, reskilling needs are emerging. Newer roles are emerging. I think AI and automation have really caused a huge movement in the way skills have to be managed within the organization, and I think all organizations would want to invest more. Even enterprises would like to implement generative AI rather than just flirting around with it, which is what has happened so far. But I think now in a serious manner, more investments will go. As more investments go, I think deeper skilling will be required. And then the last issue is that the universities also have to be prepared for this future. And the recent acquisition that we have made in a company called IMNEO actually ties up the university space for us, because universities now have to work very closely with industry and the skilling sector to ensure that the talent which is coming out is actually future ready. So I see the technology landscape changing fast, and I think skilling needs will increase. Upskilling, reskilling to start with, and I'm sure fresh hires will follow since there is a backlog which is pending there. In BFSI, at this point of time, there has been a small lull as the economic uncertainty is being battled with. But I have a feeling towards the latter part of the year that trend will remain. We as an organization are in an investment phase, and therefore we are very keen to use technology in a large way to keep a model which is expandable and which is scalable very easily. So our recent acquisition of an AI-powered deep skilling platform, which is a SaaS platform, I think brings new value to what we can do to our customers, as well as what we can do to our college students and early career students that we otherwise service in our consumer sector. So I think I gave you a long response to a short question that you had.
Mr. Thadani, also give us some color on the overall growth, for FY26. What will be the organic growth rates that you're expecting?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm not sure whether we have covered the growth rate that we achieved in FY25 because we just completed a year. Oh, well, there you are showing. You've shown it for quarter four. For the whole year, the growth was 18% year on year in revenue and 20% year on year in profit after tax. And I think that's the right way to look at it because it's a seasonal business and quarter four is seasonally weak. Going forward, we want to better on this growth rate, which means we are in an acceleration mode, given that we've been in an investment cycle. So we would like the growth to grow more than 18% plus. And obviously, this will also mean integration of various elements, investments in technology, investments in customer acquisition, investments in making sure that we strengthen our operations to handle this growth. So to that extent, this 1 year will remain strong in the investment mode as far as the profitability is concerned. So that's our overall outlook. But we seem positive. We look positively at the next year, especially now that the external situation is settling down. Of course, the market uncertainties, the global uncertainties and the global trade relations and various other factors continue to remain work in progress and continue to remain things to be watched out for. So while we are optimistic about the year, I think I would also like to say we would like to revisit the situation every quarter, given the rate at which things change nowadays.
Right, Mr. Thadani, also give us a sense on the recent acquisition that the company has made. 70% acquisition of IM Neo is something that the company has done very recently in April. Talk to us about how margin accretive this business is going to be. What's the timeline for it to start becoming margin accretive, and what's the rationale behind this acquisition?
Okay, so you asked 4 questions in one, so let me attempt one at a time. It may not be in the same order. So we are very excited about IM Neo as an acquisition, as a member of the family that we have inducted. A very, very young and ebullient workforce that we have, and we're very excited about it. What do they do? They are an AI-powered deep skilling SaaS platform. So it's a platform play, and therefore its implications are in all segments of work which we do. They themselves are very strong in the university segment, and university is a very important segment to add, given the government stress also, as per the new education policy, to integrate skilling, industry, and higher education together. So we are very excited, and they fit one very important point that we had in our strategy. They will be growth accretive, they will be margin accretive, and then they are also profit accretive, net profit accretive. So I think it's accretion on all angles, and obviously it's very talent accretive because they bring very, very strong talent pool into the family, and we are very excited to have them with us.
All right, Mr. Thadani, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us and sharing with us the outlook and the numbers for NIIT. We will let you go on that note. But with that, it's time for us to slip into a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Stocks in Focus after the break. Stay tuned.
In association with SBI, be alert, be scam safe.
नीचे नीचे डक्कर, ऊपर स्टेयरकेस के ऊपर।
आप कौन?
टीम गर्मी ब्लास्टर्स। हम आपको हराने हैं।
बड़ी, कॉन्फिडेंस मानना पड़ेगा।
बैग तो ले आओ।
ब्लू स्टार है ना? फास्ट कूलिंग इन्वर्टेड एसी फ्रॉम ब्लू स्टार। अरे, गेम ओवर। ब्लू स्टार गर्मी की छुट्टी।
कल जॉब इंटरव्यू है, जरा संभाल के।
भरोसा रखो सर, ऐसा हेयर कट करूंगा, नौकरी पक्की।
कहीं ऐसा ही कुछ आपके इन्वेस्टमेंट के साथ ना हो जाए। अपनाइए भरोसे की चॉइस और स्टॉक्स, म्यूचुअल फंड्स, आईपीओज में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए बिंदास। डाउनलोड चॉइस फिनेक्स टुडे। Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
Hey, Kia, take us to the big four.
Open the sunroof.
Presenting Karan's Clovers, made for epic journeys.
Kia, movement that inspires.
6 एक्सप्रेसवे संचालित देश का सबसे बड़ा रेल नेटवर्क, देश में सर्वाधिक एयरपोर्ट, उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार ने बुनियादी ढांचे का त्वरित गति से अभूतपूर्व विकास कर प्रदेश की आर्थिक स्थिति को किया मजबूत।
इंटर स्टेट कनेक्टिविटी को 4 लेन से जोड़ने वाला पहला राज्य उत्तर प्रदेश है। देश की पहली रैपिड रेल उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर प्रारंभ हुई है और पहला इनलैंड वाटरवे वाराणसी से हल्दिया के बीच में यह भी उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर प्रारंभ हुआ है।
गंगा एक्सप्रेसवे पर दिन और रात में उड़ान भर सकते हैं भारतीय वायुसेना के लड़ाकू विमान। जेवर में विश्व स्तरीय अंतर्राष्ट्रीय हवाई अड्डे का शीघ्र ही होगा लोकार्पण। मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ जी के सक्षम नेतृत्व में उत्तर प्रदेश बन गया है एक्सप्रेसवे प्रदेश।
जब अपनों का साथ हो तभी होता है शुभारंभ। इसीलिए सिर्फ मुथूट फाइनेंस सदियों से देते आ रहे हैं हर नई शुरुआत में अपनों जैसा भरोसा। मुथूट फाइनेंस, इंडियाज नंबर 1 मोस्ट ट्रस्टेड फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज ब्रांड। तो गोल्ड लोन के लिए अभी फोन कीजिए 1-800-313-1212 पर।
गॉड, इतना पानी आ गया है। पापा
जी बारिश हो रही है? वाह,
छत टपक रही है।
अरे शिफ्ट करने वाले हैं ना पापा, बस घर मिलने की देर है।
तो देर ज्यादा ही नहीं होगी।
हेलो, यू घर है, इसकी शादी नहीं कि बिना एडवाइस के डिसीजन ले लिया।
इसीलिए तो घर मैजिक ब्रिक्स पे देखिए, प्रॉपर्टी की पूरी इन्फॉर्मेशन विद एक्सपर्ट एडवाइस
और 15 लाख से ज्यादा प्रॉपर्टी ऑप्शंस है।
गुड, तो एटलीस्ट मेरा घर तो लाखों में एक होगा।
भाई बिजनेस रजिस्टर हो गया?
यस, सिर्फ करंट अकाउंट बाकी है।
करंट अकाउंट के लिए तो एसबीआई बेस्ट है। यूएस मशीन मिलेगा और क्यूआर कोड भी। बेस्ट कैश डिपॉजिट लिमिट, ईस्ट और वेस्ट इंडस्ट्री में बेस्ट,
सबको पता है।
एसबीआई करंट अकाउंट बेस्ट है, सबको पता है।
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड में मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
Hi there, welcome back to Market Fatafat. Let's keep it going with all the stocks and let's once again bring on board Akshay Gaurav as well as Anshu, who have been patiently waiting by as we interacted with the management of NIIT Limited before the break. Thanks so much for waiting by, but Akshay, let's come to you first. Tech Mahindra is the stock that you've picked out for us. Last 6 months on the chart have been absolutely lackluster. However, last 1 year, the stock has seen a 25% roughly uptick coming in on this stock. Tell us what's the outlook going ahead. Do you believe that the cut that the stock has seen in the last 6 months is now creating some room for growth going ahead?
Akshay, you need to unmute yourself, I guess, Akshay. You're on mute.
So if you look at the recovery in the IT pack in the last, I think 4 weeks, it's been a very healthy recovery in most of the names. Even the on-the-line expected lines results have been well rewarded for the stock prices. Tech Mahindra has been one of the best technical charts on the IT sector. The recovery has been very strong from 1250 till 1571. A small cool-off is seen in the last couple of days, but I believe there is still some more steam left in the stock which can see an upside till 1675 in the month of May. So still expecting the steam to continue and maintaining a buy view on Tech Mahindra for possible targets till 1675. The support is at 1525, below which you need to place your stop losses.
All right, so that's Tech M on the charts. But coming to you, Ansh, Tata Motors, now this one's going to report its numbers, and tell us what can one expect from Tata Motors then?
Well, if you talk about revenue, then that is expected to go up by around 3% on year basis to 1,23,158 crore. Whereas if you talk about EBITDA, then that is expected to go down by around 4%. But talking about PAT, that is going to go down by around 56%. And deferred tax adjustment in quarter 4 of FY25 is the main reason to push PAT here. Whereas if you talk about volume, then for India region, both PV and CV is expected to go down 6% from passenger vehicle and 3% for commercial vehicle. Whereas if you talk about JLR volumes, then that is expected to grow by around 3% on year-on-year basis. Also, if you talk about commentary, then it is very important to keep an eye on tariff impact, domestic demand trigger, also on the timeline on demerger.
Okay, that's the expectations from Tata Motors when it comes out with its numbers later. But let's talk about Hindalco. This stock is also in focus, not because of its earnings, but because of its wholly owned subsidiary Novelis' earnings. For Novelis, the adjusted EBITDA has come in at $473, which is up 29% sequentially. EBITDA margins have also recovered substantially, and EBITDA margin has come in at $494 per ton, up 22% sequentially. Volumes have also come in at 957 kiloton, up 6% on a sequential basis. Beverages can demand remains strong. Weak auto demands and tariffs are weighing on the product mix. The guidance that the management has given, they have withheld their guidance on FY26 volume and margins due to ongoing tariff uncertainties. Inline set of numbers coming in from Novelis. Let's understand what brokerages are making of this. Citi has maintained a buy rating on Hindalco with a target price of 725 rupees. Axis Capital has also reiterated their buy stance, target kept unchanged at 770. Equirus has maintained their ad rating on Hindalco but has hiked the target price to 660 rupees from 640 earlier. So positive outlook coming in on Hindalco on the back of inline set of numbers coming in from its wholly owned subsidiary Novelis. But the stock under pressure, almost a 3% cut coming in on Hindalco as we speak.
All right, Hindalco down under pressure with cuts up to an 8.8%. Akshay, coming to you, you picked out SBI for us. Another big PSU counter. PSU counters have been in a bullish trend. Tell us on SBI, what do you see from here on?
Well, see on the price charts, we had an inverse head and shoulder breakout on the daily charts. Now this is a bullish pattern which we spotted a few trading sessions back. After that, you had a SBI revisiting the breakout zones of 760, 770, 3 to 4 trading sessions back on the back of slight disappointment post the numbers of SBI. But I believe there has been second round of strong recovery once those breakout zones were retested. So clearly 760, 770 is the short-term support zone where you may see strong buying getting back in the stock. And the way the setup is, there is a very high probability that the stock should reattempt testing the levels of 830, that's the recent swing high, and further moving up for levels of 860, which is 860. So positive in SBI for overall broader targets till 860. There is a very strong support at 760, below which you maintain your stop losses.
Okay, so that's the take coming in on SBI. Let's move on. Gaurav, LTI Mindtree is a stock that you've picked out for us. I believe it's on the back of a brokerage note. Tell us what it is.
Well, yes, LTI Mindtree is in focus because now Kotak has written a note. They have actually maintained their ad rating and a target price of 5,200 rupees. And this is because of the large order that the company has received. What Kotak is saying is that the LTI Mindtree has announced around $450 million worth of net consolidated deal with a global agri-business leader. When we talk about this deal, this tenure is around 7 years, and at the same time, what they are saying is that the deal will start ramping up from second quarter of FY26. Now, according to the Kotak research, what they are saying is that this will actually incorporate around EPS raise of around 1.5% and fair value of around 5,200 rupees for the stock price. What they are saying is that they are actually valuing the stock at around 25 times the FY27 EPS, and what they are also penciling in is that LTI Mindtree's depth of competencies and strength is a key vertical, and that is actually impressive, and that is the reason why they are being a little bullish. When we talk about stock performance in the morning, it was actually up in trade, but given that there is some pressure in the market overall, we are seeing some kind of pressure in this stock as well. But even with the pressure, the stock is almost flat, so definitely watching out on this counter.
All right, watching out for LTI Mindtree then. But moving on then, Ansh, JM Financial, this is what you picked out for us, an earnings candidate. Tell us, what does the report card for this look like?
Well, yes, its revenue actually had gone down by around 8% to 1,027 crore as compared to 1,121 crore. But if you talk about PAT, then that was largely flat. Previously, it was 209 crore. This time, it was around 210 crore. But fees, brokerage and income, that went up by around 22%. 3% on quarter-on-quarter basis, and the total of this were around 435 crore. On the back of which we are seeing that stock is trading with a gain of more than 3%. In the morning, it was up by around 10%, and in addition to this, the stock has also surpassed above its 100 EMA, indicating good positivity in the stock.
Okay, so that's the take on JM Financial. Mixed set of numbers coming in, but stock doing pretty well. We also interacted with the management earlier. But on that note, we wrap it up on this edition of Market Fatafat. Gaurav, Ansh as well as Akshay, thank you so much for joining us. And with that, it's a goodbye from Ankita, me and the team that put this show together. Closing trades is up next.